Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Lepakshi Khurana. Here are the top stories we're tracking for you on Tuesday, the 6th of October. Angela Merkel vows to strengthen bilateral ties as she concludes India tour. Afghan army foils major Taliban attack on capital Kabul. And Nepal government and protesters to hold talks to end political deadlock. And now for all the details, German Chancellor Angela Merkel concluded her three-day visit to India with a pledge to further bilateral relations. India hopes that after this high-profile visit, contentious issues relating to intellectual property rights, automobile tariffs and a free trade agreement will be sorted out soon. Our political editor Smita Prakash has more in this report.
German Federal Chancellor Angela Merkel visited Bosch's facilities in the southern Indian city of Bangalore along with the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. This is Bosch's largest development centre outside Germany. During her three-day visit, Ms. Merkel also met with Indian and German businesses at a forum organised by the private sector with a focus on Indian programmes that showcase innovation and skill development. Germany is India's largest trading partner in Europe, but negotiations on a free trade agreement with the European Union did not come through last year. PM Modi, though, admitting that more needs to be done to attract foreign businesses to India.
However, as of now, our economic partnership remains below our full potential. We are particularly keen to develop the sectors where Germany is strong. We are working hard to create conducive conditions for the same. Friends, at a time of global slowdown, India represents a bright spot for investment.
A recent survey on German companies doing business in India raised several concerns regarding corruption, taxation, intellectual property rights and legal ramifications of investments. The Indian Prime Minister said that his government had brought in changes.
We have expedited regulatory clearances, including security and environmental clearances. Across the board, we have increased the validity period of industrial licenses. We have de-licensed a number of defense items and liberalized a number of restrictions like end-use certificates.
The Indian Prime Minister today said to representatives of German companies, "We need your active involvement in turning our dreams into reality." He made this speech even as the World Bank in its latest report projected India to grow by 8% in 2017-18, something that even German companies would have made note of.
Moving on to news from Afghanistan, Afghan security forces averted a major Taliban attack on capital Kabul early on Tuesday. This comes even as fierce clashes are being reported from many parts of the country between the army and the insurgents.
Afghan army claimed that they have killed at least 3 suicide bombers who tried to attack the house of a former governor of southern Helmand province. The army said the attackers were gunned down after a fire exchange which continued all through the night and there were no other casualties. Meanwhile, in northern Kunduz, the Afghan army has reportedly made further advances in capturing more areas from the Taliban. The forces have also begun distributing essentials, including food packets, to thousands who were displaced in the battle. Meanwhile, the UN has strongly condemned the US bombing on a Doctors Without Borders hospital in the city. 22 people, including staff members and patients, were killed in the incident on Saturday. The US called it a profound tragedy and said the strike was carried at the request of Afghan army. The UN, which called for an impartial inquiry, hinted that the incident could amount to a war crime.
The Secretary General recalls that hospitals and medical personnel are explicitly protected under international humanitarian law and he calls for a thorough and impartial investigation into the attack in order to ensure accountability.
With the Taliban gaining momentum, there is an increase in the levels of insecurity among Afghans.
Pakistan Supreme Court has said that criticism of the country's blasphemy law did not account to committing blasphemy. The top court said this while hearing an appeal by Mumtaz Qadri, who was sentenced to death for the murder of former Punjab Governor Salman Taseer. The Supreme Court, which resumed the hearing in the case on Monday, observed that Salman Taseer was only talking about the defects in the country's blasphemy law. It also pointed out that there was no evidence of the slain former governor committing an act of blasphemy. Taseer, a vocal critic of the controversial statute, had termed it a black law and called for its review. He was shot dead by his security guard Mumtaz Qadri in January 2011 after Taseer met Asia Bibi, a Christian woman on death row for alleged blasphemy, inside jail. Public sector employees in Pakistan-administered Kashmir are protesting against the government's apathy and years of suppression. Frequent protests by local employees against the government policies are badly affecting the administration in the region.
People of Pakistan-administered Kashmir, also known as Azad Jammu Kashmir in Pakistan, came on streets to protest against the local government. Shunning the work of the Secretariat, the Employees Association went for a strike against the non-payment of their allowances for the last 4 years.
मुलाजमीन को जो HBA की अदायगी होती है, वो मुलाजमीन के अपनी तरह से जो GPF की कटौती होती है, उस GPF की कटौती से जो रकम महकमा मालियात के अंदर जमा होती है, उस रकम को बतौर HBA हमें वो कर्जा दिया जाता है। मेरे भाइयों, 4 साल से वो हमारे कर्जे बंद हैं और मुसलसल हमारी कटौतियां हो गई हैं।
While Chief Secretary and Revenue Secretary in Pakistan-administered Kashmir, who are appointed by Islamabad, enjoy all privileges, the local employees say they are maltreated, their salaries and other allowances are withheld for months.
जुल्म की बात क्या होगी, जहां पर पूरी हुकूमत कानून साजी के लिए, पूरा निज़ाम हुकूमत चलाने के लिए सेक्रेटेरिएट असेंबली में बैठती है, वहाँ के जो मुलाजमीन हैं, जो उनके दस्तों बाजू हैं, मैं समझता हूँ कि स्पीकर असेंबली को आज ही मुस्तफ़ी हो जाना चाहिए कि उसके साथ हमने कमिटमेंट की और उसने अपनी कमिटमेंट पर अमल दरामद नहीं।
Pakistan claims this region as its own but does not give rights and privileges to the people as the constitutional status of AJK is unclear.
A London court has extended the bail of Muttahida Qawmi Movement chief Altaf Hussain in a money laundering case by 4 months. The MQM Supremo will now have to appear before the London Metropolitan Court in February 2016. This is the 5th time that Hussain is getting his bail extended in the case. He was arrested by the Scotland Yard in July 2013 following a raid at his London residence where a huge sum of unaccounted money was recovered. He could be sentenced up to 10 years of imprisonment if proven guilty in the case. Hussain, who fled Pakistan in the 1990s, still continues to control the day-to-day affairs of the MQM, the 4th largest political party in Pakistan, from his London office. India's stock market continued their upward momentum for the 5th day on Tuesday. The Bombay Stock Exchange, or BSE Sensex, ended the day's trade at 26,933, or up by 0.55%. This was its highest closing since mid-June. The broad-based National Stock Exchange, or Nifty, closed the day's business at 8,153, or up by 0.41%. Experts see another 1 to 2% rally amid consolidation in near term ahead of September quarter earnings that will start on Monday. Human rights lawyer Amal Clooney has urged the immediate release of former Maldivian President Mohammad Nasheed. He was sentenced to 13 years of imprisonment in March over terror charges.
Amal Clooney, who is heading the international legal team of former President Mohammad Nasheed, said that the UN in its recent ruling had held his sentencing illegal. The UN had claimed that his trial was flawed and called for his release. The Maldives government has rejected the UN ruling.
So Nasheed's unfair trial and conviction is emblematic of a bigger crisis in the country, where the noose around free speech is tightening by the day and where a fledgling democracy has entered a much darker period of repression.
Nasheed's wife, Leila Ali, said the country was behind him and their fight will continue.
We won't give up, we won't rest, we won't stop. We will keep going. We will continue this fight until he is a free man and he can come home.
Nasheed was sent to 13 years in prison in March this year for illegal detention of a judge during his tenure in 2012.
Bangladesh has stepped up security along its border after reports that the suspects in the murder of 2 foreign nationals are trying to leave the country. Additional troops have also been deployed in the area to increase surveillance. Investigators have confirmed that the assailants who shot dead Japan's citizen Hoshio Kunio in Rajpur on Saturday fled the scene through road. A special team from Japan is also in Bangladesh to assist in the probe. While Kunio was shot dead on Saturday, another Italian aid worker, Cesare Tavola, was killed in capital Dhaka earlier in the week. Bangladeshi investigators and the government had rejected the claims of the Islamic State, who took responsibility of the twin attacks. They're suspecting the involvement of groups like the Jamaat-e-Islami behind the crime. Meanwhile, in Nepal, the Madhesi protesters have agreed to hold talks with the government to end days of political impasse. This comes as Nepal gears up for transition in power.
A 4-member group of ethnic Madhesi community will formally begin talks with government in capital Kathmandu from Tuesday to find a solution to the ongoing crisis in the Himalayan nation. The Madhesis have been agitating against the government over the promulgation of new constitution which has split Nepal into 7 provinces. So far, 40 people have been killed in the violent protests carried by the community since the adoption of the new constitution last month.
निर्वाचन क्षेत्र, नागरिकता और बाकी अधिकार का जो सवाल है उस सारी बातों पर आज से हमारी बात शुरू होगी.
The group also clarified that India had no role in blocking the border trade point that has resulted in acute shortage of supplies to the landlocked country, a charge levelled by the Nepal government at the UN.
ये संयुक्त लोकतांत्रिक मधेसी मोर्चा के तहत आम तराई वासियों का, आम यहाँ के आदिवासियों का, दलितों का, थारुओं का ये आंदोलन है और ये आंदोलन भारतीय आंदोलन नहीं है. ये आंदोलन मधेसियों का आंदोलन है जो अधिकार से वंचित है और विभेद में पड़े हुए नागरिकों का ये आंदोलन है.
Major political parties in Nepal are currently discussing issues relating to the formation of a new government after the promulgation of fresh constitution.
Well, that's the way it was in South Asia this evening. Before we conclude, the top stories once again. Angela Merkel vows to strengthen bilateral ties as she concludes India tour. Afghan army foils major Taliban attack on capital Kabul. And Nepal government and protesters to hold talks to end political deadlock. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/SAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @SAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Good night.